Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is freaking time. All right, I got my team builder here for my week 6 match against Caleb. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing it. I'm excited for this one. Caleb's got a really good team. Obviously, you can see both of them there on the screen. He's a little bit lacking on the speed side, but he's got a lot of really good Pokemon to bring. Obviously, Melmetal. Melmetal's very scary. Azumaril's very scary. Could be Choice Band, could be Belly Drum. Also has Belly Drum on Snorlax. He's got some really good offensive threats. With Moxie Heracross, and same thing with the Crocodile. Some versatility in the Mew and the Rotom, things like that. Obviously, Weezing's really bulky. Snorlax can be a problem as well, especially if it's like thick fat and pretty bulky there as well. So a couple of things to think about there. So I built the best team that I could, and we'll walk through a little bit about what we're bringing, why we're bringing it. First up, we've got Idaho. I'm bringing a normal type Silvally this week with the Expert Belt. I'm running max speed on this one to just make sure that I speed tie with the Arcanine if he is also running max speed. I wouldn't want to get outsped and have to take a Flare Blitz or something like that. So this at least gives me the chance to outspeed it, assuming that it's not a Choice Scarfed Arcanine or something to that effect. And so I'm running 4 coverage moves. Pretty standard set here. Surf is really good for obviously all those fire types. He's got the Arcanine, he's got the Marowak, also hits the Crocodile super effectively, so I've got that for all of them. Grass Pledge is an option for me, mostly to hit against the Rotom, if that is something that I need to do some damage on. As you can see, I don't really have another good move for Rotom, so I needed to make sure I had the Grass Pledge option there. Flamethrower is there basically for the Melmetal, the Tangrowth, the Heracross, things like that. I'm running a special Silvally just because it hits a little bit harder. Obviously, the Tangrowth and the Melmetal both have really good physical defense, not so much on the special side, so I'm going to want to try to hit them on the special side if I can. So pretty straightforward there. Flash Cannon as the 4th move. I really wanted to run Parting Shot, but looking at this team, without this potential Flash Cannon option, I don't have a lot of great ways to hit the Weezing, and I didn't want to lose a Pokemon or two to Weezing just because I had to hit it 3 or 4 times instead of 1 or 2. And Weezing can be pretty bulky, but this does a really good amount to defensive Weezing. And so I'm running Flash Cannon just on the chance that I need to hit that. That's really the only time I would hit it. It's the only Pokemon it's there for, is just in case I need to have another option offensively to handle that Weezing. So we got Idaho, the normal type, Silvally. I'm also bringing Choice Scarf Haxorus this week. Grapes is coming. The speed here just ensures that I outspeed Mew. Mew is his fastest Pokemon. Everything else is slower than that. I mentioned earlier he does not have a particularly speedy team. He's been running. He's run Trick Room a couple of times to kind of make up for that fact. But I also have a couple of slower Pokemon on my team here as well. And so I'm not sure if he would go either the because he could go the Trick Room route or he could go the Scarf route himself, right? So I think given this setup, I think he could really go either way, and I kind of have ways to work around either one of them. So I went with Choice Scarf this week on the Haxorus. So like I said, this speed ensures that I outspeed Mew and everything's slower. And with the Choice Scarf, any potential Choice Scarf Pokemon that he would bring, I will also outspeed that. So he's got, like I said, he's got a couple of really good Choice Scarf options. He could Choice Scarf the Crocodile. He could Choice Scarf the Heracross. He could Choice Scarf the Arcanine. He could Choice Scarf the Rotom. He could Choice Scarf the Mew. All of those are, fairly I don't know, I don't know. I'd say likely, but I could see scenarios in which he might choose to choice scarf any of the 4 of those Pokemon, and so this way I can guarantee to outspeed those Pokemon regardless of which one he chooses to scarf. And so we got the choice scarf here for that because we do big damage to pretty much all of those as well. Stone Edge obviously really good for the Arcanine and the Marowak and stuff like that. Close combat hurts the Melmetal, hurts the Crocodile, hurts the Snorlax. Nothing really wants to take a close combat, even the Pokemon that resist it. I mean, obviously Marowak, right? But Marowak doesn't want to take a rock type move, so I don't think he would switch that in on something like this if he can avoid it, especially if he doesn't know that I'm choice scarfed. But close combat does pretty good damage to most of his team. Zen Headbutt is there just in case I need a move to do a little bit more damage on Weezing. I don't want to try to take out Weezing with Terrakion, obviously, because this doesn't do that much. I think it does, if he's a fully defensive Weezing, it only does in the 35 to 40% range, if my memory is correct. And then obviously Strange Steam really hurts in response to that. Don't want to get burned, don't want to get toxic, all that good stuff. So that's just there in case I need a move that does a little bit more damage against Weezing, but hopefully I don't have to hit it. Aerial Ace is there for coming in and basically just taking care of a Heracross that is potentially scarfed and has gotten Moxie boosts and stuff like that. I don't want him to keep getting those attack increases, and so Aerial Ace does 4 times effective damage there. And so Aerial Ace is basically just for the Heracross and potentially the Tangrowth if it does more damage than a close combat. It wouldn't do more damage than a close combat would, but so it's basically just there for Heracross. So that's what we got on the Terrakion. Next up, we got Katara. I'm bringing an interesting set on Katara this time. I mentioned earlier that I was nervous about a potential belly drum on the Azumarill. And so this EV spread here is to kind of make sure that doesn't, that's not a problem that I can do absolutely nothing about if I'm in with the Milotic. So obviously, Marble Scale, Flame Orb, all that good stuff. Scald, Recover, Flip Turn, all pretty standard. Flip Turn just for a little bit of momentum. Scald Burns, if I can get some of those off on some key Pokemon, could come in handy. Haze is there for the Azumarill Belly Drum and potentially for the Snorlax, but more so for the Azumarill. Because if he gets in with... in the scenario that I knock something out with Milotic, and then he sends in Azumarill after I have gotten a kill, Katara doesn't have any good offensive options to use against the Azumarill. Scalding it will do pretty much nothing. Flip Turn does pretty much nothing. I can't use Dragon Pulse because it's a fairy type. Ice Beam doesn't really do anything. I can't use Dragon Tail to try to phase him out because it's a fairy type. So I don't have a lot of offensive options, which means he can come in and pretty much belly drum for free, which I really, really didn't want. And so I want him, if he does belly drum at any point, I want him to either take a hit in order to do it, or to be able to hit him in such a way that he won't be able to belly drum because he won't have the HP necessary, whatever the case may be. And so Haze is specifically there to eliminate all that stat increase that a belly drum would do. And then the 88 speed EVs that I have here just ensure that I outspeed a max speed Jolly Azumarill. So that way, even if he does get a belly drum off, I can outspeed him, hit Haze, and essentially make him waste his berry and stuff like that, so I can get rid of all that attack increase, so that even if I die, he does not get a belly drum up for free, because everything else that I have there can do pretty significant damage there. And obviously Milotic can live a +6 Aqua Jet and things like that, so I have a couple of Pokemon here that can live a +6 Aqua Jet. And so Katara is one of them. Haze is just to make sure that the belly drum does not get off for free. So that's what we got there. Next, We got Shoelace, the Decidueye. I've only used Decidueye one other time this league, so I'm excited to hopefully use him a little bit more effectively this go around. He didn't get to do a whole lot when I played against Josh, and so hopefully this will be a better showcasing. So I'm running a physically offensive, Leaf Blade, Poltergeist, Shadow Sneak, and U-Turn. This setup is kind of for the same thing. A 96 Jolly Nature, 96 speed Jolly Nature here just ensures that I outspeed a max speed Azumarill as well. Because again, same situation as with Katara. I can take a +6 Aqua Jet. I cannot take a +6 Play Rough or something like that. And so if I don't have the appropriate speed, if he's running max speed or something like that, he can outspeed me here and then just take me out. And so this is kind of one of the ways to get around that. I've got a couple of Pokemon that I can switch into a +6 Aqua Jet. This being one of them, and this allows me to make sure that I outspeed and do some damage there. Obviously, Leaf Blade for the Azumarill. He could be running Sap Sipper Azumarill, but if he is, then I am so much less concerned about the Azumarill. I think in order for that thing to be as threatening as he would want it to be, I would imagine he would have to go, the huge power choice band set or belly drum set or something like that, if it's going to be offensive. Otherwise, he could run some sort of like power up punch or toxic or sap sipper, whatever the case may be. But that is not the set I'm concerned about. So Leaf Blade is there to do big damage to the Azumarill. Also hits the Crocodile, hits the Rotom. This is a really good switch into Rotom, just because I don't care about either the stab moves. I can take Thunderbolts and Volt Switches and Discharges and Hydro Pumps and things like that. I will have to be careful with potential Thunder Waves or Will-O-Wisps or something like that, depending on what is left on the team. And so that's something to think about as well. This is also ideally the way that I handle Mew. Poltergeist does big damage to Mew. Obviously, Shadow Sneak does as well. And I've got quite a bit of HP here to give myself a little bit more bulk. I imagine if the Mew does come as a more offensive set, it would be hitting on the special side, not the physical side. And so this plus my higher special defense, looking at some calcs like Expert Belt, Flamethrower from an offensive Mew, doesn't take me out or anything like that. This spread lets me live, a little bit more often. I think it does like maybe 50 to 60%, something like that. So obviously if I have the appropriate damage, that would be one thing. But I can always Shadow Sneak and get some damage off there. So I'm running Eject Pack. I'm not sure how I feel about the item. I couldn't decide what I wanted to run on Decidueye. I went with Eject Pack. So if you're not familiar with Eject Pack, it just says if the holder's stat stages are lowered, it switches into a chosen ally. So he's got Intimidate on both Arcanine and Crocodile, both of which have really super effective options against the Decidueye. So if Decidueye comes in and say I kill the Rotom or whatever, and then he switches out to either the Crocodile or the Arcanine to outspeed and go for knockoff or Flare Blitz or something to that effect. Once the Intimidate lowers my attack, Eject Pack will activate, and Decidueye will then be pulled out of the driver's seat there, and I can send in something else that better handles those guys, and I don't have to take any damage. So I can use the Eject Pack to switch out and then go right into Katara or something like that without having to take a hit, and take a knockoff or whatever. So that's what I'm going with there. I think it will come in handy. I think if he brings Arcanine, it's definitely going to be Intimidate. Now, if he brings Crocodile, there's a chance he could go Moxie, but he's also gone Intimidate as well. And I think Intimidate, makes some sense against my team too. I think if I was him, if I was going a Moxie set, it would probably be the Heracross, not the Crocodile. And so I think Eject Pack will come in handy against potentially both of those Pokemon. So that's why we're running that there. Next, we got Flap Flap. Heavy duty boots, static, defensive, pretty standard here. Zapdos is just too good. Like it's just too good. It switches into so many things. It's got the immunity from ground type moves and things like that, and so Roost, Discharge, Heat Wave, U-turn, Discharge plus static gives me the chance to get some get a paralysis off on something that might come in handy. Heat Wave is really good for the Melmetal and the Tangrowth, the Heracross, things like that. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here. One thing I will need to remember is that he has run a Smackdown Earthquake Crocodile before. I saw that in his match against Joel. He ran that for Celesteela. He could potentially want to do the same thing for Zapdos, so that's something to be keeping in mind there if he chooses to go that route. Obviously I'll have to kind of play around that. So that's something to consider as well. So like I said, pretty standard, just defensive set here. Lastly, Dennis the Haxorus here. This is enough speed to outspeed all the way up to the Arcanine. So I outspeed Arcanine, Krugler. The only thing I do not outspeed is Mew, is an easier way of saying that. I don't outspeed Mew. Everything else I do outspeed. I'm running a Swords Dance Life Orb set here. Earthquake, Close Combat, First Impression. I don't have any Dragon Stab, but it doesn't really come in handy against anything here, so I'm okay with that. I'm running Mold Breaker, so Earthquake, obviously, with the Mold Breaker, Earthquake hits the Levitating Rotom and the Levitating Weezing, both for super effective damage. Also hits the Arcanine, the Marowak, and anything an Earthquake would normally hit. Close Combat, good for the Melmetal, good for the Snorlax, good for the Crocodile. Pretty good option just to hit most things as well. If he goes for a switch, something like that. First Impression is there for the Mew primarily, because Mew's just an issue. I'm not going to outspeed it anyway because I'm not running a Scarf, and so I went First Impression, over X Scissor or something like that, just so I can outspeed and get some good damage there. And then depending upon whether or not he's an offensive Mew or like a defensive utility type set, will kind of, obviously the damage will vary dependent on that, but I think First Impression's good just in case I need a way to kind of chunk the Mew and give it some good damage there. Also is a good option to click on, if I've figured out what his Choice Scarfer might be, I can kind of send this in on like a Choice Scarf Crocodile or a Choice Scarfed Rotom, whatever the case may be. I can click that and outspeed and get some damage there and potentially take somebody out. Swords Dance, I wanted to run Dragon Dance. I changed it to Swords Dance just because looking at some of the calcs, I need to be able to get to +2. If I can get Haxorus at +2, between Earthquake and Close Combat, I one-shot most versions of the Pokemon that I would need to. So Earthquake, when I'm at +2, Earthquake kills Rotom 100% of the time. It kills Weezing 100% of the time. At +2, Close Combat, kills Snorlax. It kills Crocodile. And if it's an offensive, like max HP, max attack, Melmetal, I kill that. The only way he lives is he has to be bold, max HP, max defense, Melmetal, and even in that scenario, I still have a chance to kill him. I think I do a minimum of like 88% in that scenario if I'm at +2. So if I can get to +2, I can really do some work with Haxorus here. I'm gonna have to play it carefully because I'm not sure. I don't know what he is going to be bringing, and so I don't know the best place to try to set up a Swords Dance. I just have to pay attention there on Team Preview and see if I can set up a Swords Dance. Ideally, I can set one up just kind of after forcing a switch or something like that. That's probably the most ideal scenario. So I'll just have to be keeping a lookout for that. But that's what I'm bringing. why I'm bringing it. Like I said, he's got a pretty good team. A lot of his team, I think, makes a lot of sense to bring. I don't think he brings the Marowak, but that's kind of the only thing that I could see that definitely wouldn't be a great choice in my opinion. But I think pretty much everything else has its merits and can deal with certain members of my team. So he's really got kind of a wide open door as far as what to bring. So we'll see what he's got. I think this is probably my best chance of taking home the W's. This team I had here. I wanted to bring Metagross, but I just couldn't fit it on the team. And with him having both Arcanine and Crocodile and Heracross, excuse me, I think it's just it's too risky. I think he has too many things on his team that would just hit it too hard, and he's likely to bring all of them. So I didn't want to have Metagross basically just die and not be able to do anything, so I ended up taking him off and having the 6 here. So, but I'm excited. Caleb and I are playing tomorrow, so hopefully it's a good match there. Good luck to Caleb. I'm coming for you. I want to win. So we'll catch you guys during the battle. Thanks for watching. Peace.